Alrighty, welcome everyone. This is GFan84, also known as TJ, and today we are going to be doing our last discussion for the MonsterVerse. Well, what the current MonsterVerse is, and that is Godzilla versus Kong. And with me today is Orange Hat Reviews,
How y'all doing?
Mongo's Big Things,
Hey there.
and Fade Salvation will be joining us a bit later. It may be GeekyPixie, not sure yet, but we're going to start here and. We hope everyone enjoys this stream and this discussion. So, this movie, let's start out here by saying, this movie is taking the world by storm. This is a huge success and one of the first movies to really break the box office during the pandemic, or, other movies have not done that well, and this movie has really done exceptional in movie theaters, even with it streaming simultaneously on HBO Max. Most everybody has seen it by now. I believe Japan still has to wait, right?
No, Japan had it early.
Oh, no, I no, Europe did.
The Orient had it early.
Okay.
China, Japan, Taiwan, all of them.
Okay. But right now, as far as the MonsterVerse goes, as of right now, they still have not made any announcements as if it's going to continue or not. But it is doing extremely well for the times that we're living in, and that's actually great news. Do you guys think this would have made done as much impact if it wasn't during the pandemic?
If it wasn't during the pandemic, I think this movie would already be making profit.
Yeah, I pretty much agree.
This movie, because you got to think about it, Kong is an American monster. A lot of people love Kong. Godzilla was a great hit. Now, yes, Godzilla King of the Monsters may have been hit and miss in America, and also flopped at the box office, but that's because of Warner Media's, mostly because of Warner Media's marketing for that movie. It was not good, but also there wasn't a lot of word of mouth transmission. This movie, a lot of people were needing something, but a lot of people were also hyped because it's like, this is a movie that is 60 years in the making. This is a movie that we haven't seen these monsters together in a movie for, 60 years. And the underground movement has basically come above ground. And it's like, we need to get this out there. And I'm like, if only they showed this much support. I mean, if they would show this much support for GVK, which they have, I just wish they would do a little bit more, because, I mean, think about it. Look how we did with Joker. If they would have done that same with here, the China box office would have only been a drip in the pond.
Right.
But yes, I think that if there wasn't a pandemic, the movie would possibly be up to, what is it at, like 285 million worldwide? Or
yes.
No, it's possibly more now. I think it would be around 315 million. It wouldn't be up by much, but it would be up by a substantial amount.
Right. Yeah. I hear you there. Okay, so really quick, there is something I just looked up. Japan for theaters is not getting it until May 14th.
Oh, well, I guess I was wrong.
Including France. Yeah, France and Japan for some reason are not getting to till May 14th for theaters. Well, I don't know if it's because I don't know if that's because the theaters aren't completely open there yet. I'm not sure. I know different countries still have different lockdown situations, so Yeah, that's a pretty long time.
France is literally living by fear, but also I think that honestly, France deserves to be locked down. Well, mostly they deserve to be locked up, but yeah. I mean, they deserve to not get good things for a little bit because of the whole, well, that Netflix movie that we're not talking about.
Oh, yeah.
They deserve to be. They deserve to stew in their own stool for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bone, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Bone, good to see you, Bone.
Bone, nice to see you.
It's a cat named Bone.
So, okay, so, with this movie, we'll dive into it, as in like analyze different parts of it, starting at the beginning and all that, and then we'll inject our thoughts and our feelings about how this movie has been. So, starting off, we get in this movie we get a shot of Kong getting up in the morning, scratching his ass, getting a shower under a waterfall, all while music from like old time music is playing. We then get a shot of the main character, Gia,
running through the woods.
Yep, running through the woods with her Kong doll. Yep. And Kong picks up the tree, takes the roots off, and actually cleaves it just like he does when he was ready to bat the Skullcrawler. So I thought that was good, a little throwback. He then sees Gia, and we see that Gia is deaf. She goes by, vibrations, and that plays an important part later.
Mm-hmm.
Kong then rises up. He then takes the tree that he just sheaved, and he throws it at the sky. And lo and behold, he's in the containment area on Skull Island. Mm-hmm. And outside of that containment, it's just all storms. And we later find out that the storms have literally overtaken Skull Island, and now Gia is the last of the iwi people. Her family was killed during the floods and during the storm. It doesn't really say if it flooded; it just says there's storms. And then we get Rebecca Hall's character come in. She
let me just interject here.
Yeah, sure.
I think hearing about that when I first watched this movie and hearing about, oh yes, the storm wiped out the iwi people, is kind of not a slap in the face, but it was like, oh, all those nice people from Skull Island they're all gone.
Right.
And their grandchildren and all their people are gone except for this one person. And I think this is going to be a common thing throughout our discussion today, but I think it would have been nice if they had maybe shown that and maybe a little bit of a flashback or something, rather than just told us. Because I think there's a lot of telling and not enough showing.
Right.
I think that's a common theme here.
Yeah, this movie, I'll just say it right here now. This movie really, you can tell they slimmed it down by cutting out a lot of in-between dialogue and a lot of in-between scenes, to slim it down to under 2 hours. And this movie very much gets to the point, and I will have to say, I'm going to say it from the start. The script, the entire script that the cast was given isn't that great, to be honest with you. It's not good at all, and yet all these actors are very good actors. I will not take that away from them, but the script they're given, trust me, we'll get more into that as well. But that was the other thing I was questioning, because I'm like, well, wait, the way they showed it in the 70s in Kong Skull Island, the storm encased the island, but it didn't actually go into the island. Like, it was surrounding the island, but it didn't actually, the storm didn't actually invade the island. So wonder what happened.
My guess is the perpetual storm basically because people kept on going in and out of it and cutting through it,
right,
caused it to destabilize and therefore collapse in on itself. That is why it went into Skull Island. It literally kind of just folded inward,
right,
and killed everybody. Also, small little plot question here. Gia is of the Iwi,
right,
and yet she is absolutely fluent in American Sign Language.
That is a good point. That is a very good point.
And here's the thing, folks. As much as I critique this movie during this discussion, Gia is one of the characters that I believe objectively was the best actor and actress in this movie.
Oh yeah.
When she was doing her signing, when she was communicating, when she was doing her acting, every part of it, she gave her all. This is her first movie.
Yes.
Kaylee Hoddle, this is her first movie. And she did it very beautifully. You felt the emotions when she was signing. You felt everything when she signed.
Yeah. To interject, I actually watched a couple interviews just recently about her. What's interesting is you had just brought up about the American Sign Language. That actually became a point of contention because, for one, when she signed, she had to actually slow her movements down. Because what she was, her whole family's deaf actually in real life.
Yep.
So she actually signs very quickly, and it's a very natural thing for her. She had to slow it down, but also they were kind of confused because some things do not translate right in American Sign Language. So the director and the actual interpreter kept going back and forth trying to figure out if she was signing the right things. She said she was, but what happened was there's a loss in translation, especially when you have made up names like Godzilla and Kong. Yeah. So like it was kind of interesting. She said that she actually had to slow her movements down so that people could visually see her signing, because she would do it so fast and so naturally that they actually asked her to slow it down. But yeah, like you had mentioned, she actually does do American Sign Language, but even then there was points of contention behind the scenes where they weren't sure really how to sign that in,
Kong is actually when she signs for Kong, the chest pounding, that actually means gorilla or ape.
Yeah. Yep.
Where Godzilla, I don't think she gave I think she gave a completely different word. But one thing from what I did understand when she said Godzilla is coming on the ship just before he showed up, she was saying something about something being scared. I'm thinking she was saying I'm scared right now.
Right.
But
yeah.
I can't state for a fact because I'm not fluent in sign language.
Right.
Plus my hands, as screwed up as they are, I could not do a lot of good sign language.
Right, exactly. But so great point there. And I wanted to say, because I saw a couple of interviews and they actually did say about there was an issue with using ASL. So a good observation too, because they actually weren't even sure if they should use ASL either, but they end up going with it. But okay, so we get the big reveal.
Oh, before we go there, when Kong actually is doing his day, how he grabs the tree and creates the spear.
Yeah,
I know you notice that he actually waits for Gia. He's like, because basically he's saying, or she understands he's upset. She understands, and he even he's basically letting them know. I know I am being duped. I know that this is Skull Island, but that's not the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
What is going on here? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because you also see later on, he's not just he's literally putting tree after tree after tree into that dome.
Yeah. Oh,
and if you look at it, it's a straight line.
Yep.
He's tracking the false sun. He's literally telling time with the trees.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the one thing about this movie. Both Godzilla and Kong are treated like actual characters.
Yeah.
They were actually actors in this movie. Now we find out, of course, that there's a couple reasons why they have Kong there, but also the main reason too is if Kong leaves there, Godzilla will come for him. Yep. He is another rival alpha. So it's just as much them preventing the collateral damage that will ensue when those two meet. And it's kind of, like I said, the script really, it's to get the monsters to fight. I mean, you can't, if you look too much into the script, you're going to be very disappointed in this movie. But it's just one of those things where
even before the script, this whole thing was set up in the novelization of King of the Monsters because they have the reaction from Kong when Ghidorah does does the call for her hunt.
Yeah,
it's like the reason why Kong's like, nope, not listening to that. Yes. That's because he's already an alpha.
Exactly.
He's an alpha-minded titan, and it's like, you just stirred up the hornet's nest beneath me, you jackass. Yeah, so I am gonna go hunt, just not what you want me to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Also, is anybody gonna point out? Well, this comes later, so I'll have to point it out later.
Okay.
It's about the skull crawler we see in this movie.
Yeah. That's way later, but so then then we get the opening title sequence, and it actually shows that some of the Titans that we saw in King of the Monsters were defeated. It didn't say killed, but it said defeated. So
it said that Ghidorah and the Skullcrawler were deceased.
Yes.
And now you see that Godzilla has basically beaten down all the other Titans, but it's like, are they defeated or did they submit? There is it. You guys should clarify.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The opening title, that's why a lot of people actually were asking, from watching the opening titles, it's like, wait, are they dead or did they submit / defeated? It's not explained.
Because the truth is, this is not me being a nitpicker. This is me being factual as much as I love Godzilla. This for MonsterVerse Rodan would actually beat MonsterVerse Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're both basically A-bombs, except that, Mothra is an A-bomb with wings, and he could literally, or if he catches Godzilla on land, he wins.
Yeah.
Now, they're saying that he was defeated. Now, also, if you really pay attention to the beginning thing where you see Kong's wins, you see two things that he's beaten. You just don't see clearly what the second thing was, but we all know it to be Camazotz.
Yeah. Yeah. From the novelizations. I mean, I'm looking
comic. I'm looking forward to getting that comic.
Yeah. So after the opening titles, we then get to Pensacola, Florida. And that's where we have Bernie Hayes, the podcaster / conspiracy theorist / all around, conspiracy theorist. Yeah, that guy. And so, he's on the podcast. He's saying about Apex. He's talking about, they're hiding something. And as he's doing this, you see him in his car, and he's actually working there for Apex. And
he's undercover, basically.
Yeah.
But he's not undercover for anyone but himself.
Exactly, yeah. He's a one-man, agent, essentially. His agency is his podcast. That's pretty much it. And so we get a bit of dialogue, and he, essentially just from talking this guy into, oblivion to where he wants to literally say he has to go to the bathroom. just to get away from him.
I loved that worker's performance.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, that is like, it's like 100% real life right there. You have some random person coming up, some person you know the name of him, but he's like, oh yeah, don't eat that. It's got GMOs in it in the apple. Here's some hand sanitizer that I made from my garden. It's like, yeah.
We all know that worker. That one guy at work. So that was obviously a ploy. He uses a thumb drive, and he wants to get into access what they're working on. Mm-hmm. And he sees the schematics there, and he's trying to figure out what's on sublevel 33. Yeah. Well, then, all of a sudden, alarms go off. He thinks it was him, but you realize a Titan is inbound.
Yep.
And this Titan...
His reaction
yeah.
was priceless.
Yeah, he holds up his hand.
Oh my God, I'm done.
Yeah. And then you realize Titan is inbound. And that Titan is Godzilla himself. Going pentacle and floor.
That Jaws moment was freaking... That was one of the better CG moments of this film. Because you see the water kind of just like cascading off of his fins when it's above water. Then he brings his head above water to give a shout. It's like, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah. And, as Godzilla is coming ashore, you also see Ren Serizawa. And he's Walter Simmons. And Walter Simmons, like, we have to go. Ren Serizawa is actually staring at Godzilla intently. And again, I think there was supposed to be something before then that they were talking about, because he's almost staring at him like he knows him, kind of like that kind of thing. And if the original script is to be believed, he is technically Dr. Serizawa's son.
Yeah.
So again, they don't mention that in this movie. It was confirmed over a year ago. So. Again, there's a lot of things that were cut out. All right, so that being said, now we get Godzilla literally like how he was, during the Showa era, during the Heisei era. He doesn't give a fuck. He is taking down planes. He is not happy.
Nope.
And he is intent on getting to that Apex facility.
Mm-hmm.
So while that's going on, Bernie, he hurries up. As these doors are closing where these security guards are going, he hurries up, makes his way through the door. He goes around the corner there, and there's two security guards still there, and they're like, "Hey, you, let me see your ID." And he's like, "Well, that's very unprofessional because you know the situation we're in," and they're ready to shoot him.
Yeah.
And it was great. He's like, no. And then you hear Godzilla's roar, and then they get blasted by his atomic breath, which somehow misses him. Again, plot armor. That radiation should have just fried him right there, being that close. And then there's a big hole, in that Apex facility.
Apex, yeah.
And then you see this glowing round, like, mechanical orb, which you've ready to find out is an eye. And he's like, what the hell is that? And it's just pulsating. And then we get back to Godzilla's attack. He's like lighting everything on fire.
Now, if you pay attention to the pulsating of the eye, it is from the Orca. It is the same frequency that is for Ghidorah.
Yep. Yeah. I actually later on we'll get into it. When I'm just going to say it, when Mechagodzilla starts to become cognitive, everybody hear Ghidorah's, like very faintly, Ghidorah's
chittering
screech. Yeah.
Screech.
Yep. All right. So Godzilla's, pretty much blasted through the Apex facility, and then he leaves. Okay. So in my mind, as I saw this scene, I'm like, thinking to myself, I want to see a news story right now where it says, Florida man killed by angry alligator with atomic breath. Serious, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, that would be hilarious if they did a news story like that, where it's like, local Florida man killed by angry alligator with atomic breath.
Yeah.
Because that would be a Florida
man
thing.
attempts to climb Godzilla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Godzilla's movements in this movie are very reminiscent of a crocodile in a couple scenes, and we'll get to those later.
He's very
Yep. But I'm just saying, I really that's the first thing that came to my mind since it was Pensacola, Florida. I'm like, dude, Florida man. They should have they should just did a Florida man skit from that.
Florida man nearly gets killed by Godzilla
yeah.
when sneaking into a government facility.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
If I ever get to chat with Jeremy, I'm going to ask him, so what's your opinion of Florida man, considering you're from Florida? Because that's always a news story. Yeah. So what do you guys think of this opening Godzilla moment?
Absolute epic, because it's like you just can tell that he's angry, he's pissed off. You can't tell why at first until you see that thing that's setting him off.
Right.
But you'd actually think that he would be able to pinpoint it.
Right.
It's that frequency because think about it. Mm-hmm. Ghidorah from the last movie pinpointed that frequency to that room.
Yeah.
When she unplugged it from the loudspeakers.
Right.
They were, all three of them were looking in that room, and it's like, there you are, you little shit. And you'd think that Godzilla would be able to do the same. Instead, he's just flying around the surrounding area, hoping to kill everything around it so that he might hit it. And it's like, now you're just basically making him look like a villain. Which is kind of how they wanted to do it, because they needed to discredit him.
Right.
But I do like how they lit up most of his body.
Yes.
When he's breathing atomic breath in this movie, he has his blue eyes. Now, in the last movie, he doesn't. He only had his blue eyes flash after he did during the call to arms, and when he just blasted Ghidorah off his feet coming into Boston.
Right.
And it's like, they really should. This is something that they really should make, or they improved it. I call it the underworld, or I call it the evolution of the underworld schism, or because they always changed the look of the lichens with each iteration.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And with Godzilla, they changed him subtly in different ways with each movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, at the first one, he didn't have spines that looked like the spines that we all know and love.
And his feet were different.
His feet were elephant trunks.
Yeah.
And the third one, or in this King of Monsters, back to the original spines, and bigger toes. Third one, more of a crocodilian head.
Yes.
Because his head is slightly different. He has the glow going through his body when he's about to breathe atomic breath. And his feet are slightly different in this one, too. And I'm like, interesting. Also, his arms were, longer, bigger.
Yeah.
He's kind of slimmed down a little bit, too.
Yeah, he has. And his movements are a lot faster in this movie.
Oh, yes. We'll get to that
he
later.
goes full gallop in this movie. But, so, Mongo, what do you think?
Well, and I think this is something that I think a lot of people have noticed. But with this movie, Godzilla versus Kong, I think this might be a common criticism, but I would definitely call this more of a sequel to just Kong Skull Island, honestly, because outside of a few scenes featuring Godzilla, maybe a couple scenes, honestly, most of the focus is on Kong. But,
this is very much Kong's story.
I definitely
it's Kong-centric.
Godzilla's inclusion in this. Of course, I appreciate it, but
right.
I would have liked a little more of him. I guess I think a lot of
Right.
people would agree as well.
Yeah. That being said, yeah, well here we'll go into this real quick right now. People, it's pretty common that people are going to relate more with Kong because of him being a primate and because of that reason and the way he can emote and that kind of thing. That being said, I think one of the early criticisms too, especially from seeing the trailer, it really did paint Godzilla as the bad guy. Even though even though as us Godzilla fans really knew, we had a very good idea what was going to happen in the end. But it's one of those things that I think I'm trying to think which YouTuber it was. He called it the Batman versus Superman idea, where one of them, even though they're both heroes, one of them had to be looked upon as more of a bad guy, regardless. And it was one of those things that kind of happens, but at the same time, I do understand why they did Kong's story more, because we've had 2 Godzilla movies, 1 Kong movie. So we already caught up with Godzilla's story. People, so this movie catches the audience up with what's been happening with Kong and more about like what his role in this whole universe is. And I think that kind of had to happen. Even though as much of a Godzilla fan I am, I think that kind of had to happen.
Yeah. And let me be clear here, folks. If you catch the replay of this, or if you're in the chat right now, when it comes to the whole Team Kong, Team Godzilla thing, I didn't throw in my vote for that. I didn't throw in my lot with any one side. I was just like, I'm gonna just watch this damn movie and love it.
I couldn't, because I love them both equally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, hey, my wife and I went to the theater. I had a Team Godzilla shirt. She had a Team Kong shirt. There you go. That's what happened. Yeah.
Yep.
You know what's even funnier though? People made fun of her for having the Team Kong shirt. They were fine with me having the Team Godzilla. She got a lot of flack.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal.
If it's
like some people, I guess, made it a big deal.
That's fine, but
that was kind of funny. Anyway, so after the attack on Pensacola, Florida, we get to Madison Russell in school, played by Millie Bobby Brown. And she, obviously then goes to her dad, Tyler Chandler, as Mark Russell, who really, he really is not, it's more of a cameo appearance. He doesn't really do anything compared to the last movie.
I'm kind of glad about that. Given his characterization, I mean, we're all familiar with King of the Monsters,
right?
And now he's kind of a dick throughout a majority of that, where he's like, "You guys should kill these monsters. What are you, out of your goddamn minds?" And all this stuff. And then he kind of goes through that growth, and by the end, he's like, he realizes Godzilla is a part of us. He's a part of the world. We need him. And then in this movie, Madison, confronts him about that, and he's like, "You were there, Dad," and he's like, "Monsters change just like people. Yeah. So give your dad a pick, okay?" I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and fun fact, folks, Kyle Chandler was in Peter Jackson's King Kong as well. So here's an actor who's been both in Godzilla and King Kong franchise movies, and so that's kind of a fun accomplishment.
A lot of people also forget Kyle Chandler was bumped up to director of Monarch.
Yes. Yeah, that's why
you gotta understand he is under a lot of stress.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Also, now, and so now Madison she listens to that podcast, and she believes everything that it's saying about how there must be a reason why Godzilla was attacking Apex. And if you look at her room, like it's just all these like her room looks like a conspiracy theorist person's room. It's got all these like news clippings triangulating like all the different areas of attack and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much her character in this movie. Not the greatest, not the but take this with a grain of salt, pretty much on a lot of things we're going to be saying, because people want to. This movie is very streamlined. It's more to get to the fighting scenes than really to explain to the audience what's been going on these past a couple years for these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. Continue, Orange Hat.
Well, all I was going to say is basically them cutting it to keep the monsters centric was all well and good, but you also see a lot of errors because of it.
Yes. Yeah.
There's literally a spot in this movie where Millie Bobby Brown's accent completely just slips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And well, actually, that being said, so now we get go back. We get introduced to Alexander Skarsgård. Is that how you pronounce his name? Skarsgård?
Yes.
Okay, good. I got it right. So he plays Nathan Lind. He pretty much published a book about the Hollow Earth, which didn't do that well. He also left Monarch. He's no longer part of Monarch. And he's pretty much, this college professor now that's, pretty much laughed at, which is kind of ironic that he makes a book about the Hollow Earth when this theory was already talked about back in the 70s. This was one of the inconsistencies that I didn't understand, because it's almost like they were trying to prove about the Hollow Earth, but they already verified that back in the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Hollow Earth in this movie is also inconsistent with the Hollow Earth in the other movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the Hollow Earth in this movie, in this scene, they show a map of all the things that go down to the Hollow Earth, but yet Godzilla got to Antarctica from Venezuela.
Yeah.
So the Hollow Earth is more of a kind of U-shaped area where,
right,
or instead of a straight down to the damn core.
Right. Well, and also, the Skullcrawlers themselves were coming up from the Hollow Earth as well. So it's like, why did they have to go all the way to Antarctica? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I'm just, this movie had like a lot of things where it's like, wait, we just
benefit from some infographics, some more streamlined things. Like you could say, they could justify like, skull crawlers are from the upper hemisphere of Hollow Earth. Just make up some BS that can kind of just, at the very least, satisfy a bit, and then they can say like, but we got to get to the core or whatever.
Right.
Mumbo jumbo and be like, the core requires a freaking wormhole.
At this point, I'm surprised they didn't talk about the lizard men politicians, in this movie.
It would have been the perfect joke for
at this point, you might as well have thrown that in. But okay, so we get Nathan. He sees Ren Cerezo come in, but he does not see Simmons come in, and he just starts talking, and he's like, "Whoa, how'd you get there?" And they talk about a venture into the Hollow Earth, and Nathan Lind said that his brother died. This is a common theme in this movie. Their family members are pretty much all dead. No, seriously, this is the common theme in this movie.
A lot of characters have dead relatives and friends.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown, her mom's dead. It's like everyone's character's dead. Godzilla's the last one of his kind. They're all dead. Kong's the last of his kind. They're all dead. It's like everyone's dead in this movie. Okay. I thought for a minute there, I was like, is this a Disney movie? Because all the parents are always dead in the Disney movie. But so he explains that, to get to the Holy Earth, and again, this completely destroyed. But okay, I'll get into it later. But he says the gravitational pressure pretty much essentially crushes
The
in that little
inversion.
vortex. Yeah, inversion crushes everything that goes in through there. And that's when he introduced the Whole Earth aerial vehicles, the heaves, stating that they can withstand that inversion. And this is where he's like, can you lead the team? There's a power source that's in there. And this power source is almost exactly like Godzilla's. And if we can harness that power source, we might have a fighting chance against Godzilla. So that's when Nathan has this bright idea to actually have another creature whose ancestors have been to the whole Earth, like migrating salmon, kind of like that genetic imprint that they can lead.
Here, I seem to recall in King of the Monsters. Now, bear in mind, this weapon did not actually kill Godzilla, but it really did screw him over. They had their quote-unquote oxygen-destroying missile,
Right.
in King of the Monsters. I mean, that's something I kind of noticed. I'm like, okay, the military, they don't really do anything in this. Monarch's kind of just on the sidelines evacuating people, but I'm like, they had the technology to at least screw up Godzilla in the last movie.
Right.
But
well,
I mean,
that was the prototype.
Obviously, it's not practical to
yeah.
That
was a prototype.
It was a prototype missile. They launched it, and the guy that happened to have created it probably shot himself before they could do it again.
I want to see that comic. I want that.
This shows how much money Apex has. It also seems to suggest later on in the movie that fleet that escorts Kong is working for Apex. It's not it's not actual military. It's actually their private army. That's how much money they have, because they show in that sequence about how Apex is the big military contractor. They're the big, technology and all this other stuff. So they have enough money to literally have their own private army.
I'm still wondering how they got him on the damn ship.
Berry juice.
Berry juice, yes.
Yeah, berry juice, like last time. Probably got him drunk.
That would have been so great if they had.
Oh yeah, if they had that scene, I would have been yes, fine, yes. Let's do the berry juice
ship with just a shipping container of that, just pouring it into his mouth.
Yeah, well, they would make that into a product placement thing too, right? By that point.
But then how did they get him onto the ship if he was already knocked out?
Helicopters, I guess.
He would have woke up.
Well,
I don't know.
Opportunity to say, stop thinking about it, Orange.
Well, so this movie. Now, you guys may remember this cartoon. It was Kong the Animated Series.
Yes.
And this movie really reminds me of that to a degree.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly like, okay, here's an episode. Kong's going to fight some crazy looking combination chimera of a monster.
Right.
And in that series, eventually they got to the point where they could just beam up Kong into this little headset device, and then they could just spout him out of there. Like, maybe
like Ant-Man technology kind of thing. But
God, that would be hilarious.
Well, actually, I also got vibes of King Kong Escapes from this movie.
Oh, yes.
Because when he's up in Antarctica. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So now Nathan has to convince Irene Andrews to let Kong out to lead them to the whole Earth in Antarctica.
So what did you guys think of this actress, Rebecca Hall? Me personally, I liked her. In a way, she kind of reminded me of Shelley Duvall a little bit, back in not like a carbon copy, but I appreciated her. I liked her in this movie.
Actually,
more stuff to do, I guess.
Actually, if you want to really watch a good movie with her in it, watch the movie Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. She is great in that movie. Professor Marston and the Wonder Women is literally the story about Professor Marston, who created the Wonder Woman comic. But what was interesting is he was in a open relationship with one of his students and his wife at the same time, and his wife even was with that student too. It was like all of the ideas came from the student he was with and his wife for Wonder Woman. He was also in the bondage and stuff like that. It goes into the whole era that they lived in, and it was actually her performance was very good in that movie actually. So if you guys ever get to watch that, that's a great movie to see her in. There was a couple other movies that she was in. I never really saw them. A lot of British movies, so but that one was probably one of the best ones.
I do see that she was in Iron Man 3. And she was the woman scientist who helped make the Extremis.
Yeah,
that's the only other.
That's where I remember her from.
Yeah, yeah.
I the one that packed that away into the recesses of my mind until just right now. I'm like,
yeah.
She was the one that was nailing Tony.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But
I do love that movie.
I gotta say, I enjoyed her. It was like discovering, I guess, maybe rediscovering, a very competent actor. I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, her and Gia's character were the only ones I really cared about in this movie. That's it. I mean, I love, and it's funny because I love Alexander Skarsgård. If you ever watched the series True Blood, he was amazing in that. Eliza Gonzalez who will later be seen as Walter Simmons' daughter Maya. She's another great actress. It's like, again, they had great actresses, but just terrible script.
Yeah, not much depth to a lot.
Also, too. Yeah, also, too, let me add something real quick. Zhang Zi, who plays Dr. Chen, was supposed to be in this movie. She's even in the credits.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's like, where was she?
Yeah, but that's my point. That shows how much they trim down. Like, entire people are out of this movie, even though they're technically in it. She's in the credits. And I'm like, wait, I didn't see her. So, again, that's what happened with this movie. So, he's convincing her to, transport Kong to Antarctica by ship, which is probably the worst idea you can do because, Godzilla lives in the ocean.
Yeah.
The whole ocean is his territory at this point.
Yeah. So he does have territorial routes, remember.
Yes, but in the threat of a predator or another apex titan, he will reroute himself. They even proved that in King of the Monsters.
When an animal is threatened, the only time they ever leave their natural hunting grounds is when they're threatened by something.
Yes. So, again, this was doomed to failure. All right, we'll get to the boat scene here. We get introduced to Maya Simmons, Eliza Gonzalez, and she's, you know what? She reminds me of a Bond villain.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, she reminds me of like those hot Bond villainesses.
Stupid name, like I even know. She just needed a stupid name.
That's exactly what she reminds me of. Even when she comes on screen, it's like, are you auditioning for a Bond villain at this point? Because that's what I'm getting from her. But so she pretty much
spoiled rich kid.
Yeah, pretty much. So, not just that, but go ahead.
I forgot where I saw her last, but then I remembered when I was watching the movie. I'm like, that's that robot chick from Alita Battle Angel. With the scythes for hands and whatnot. It's like,
yep.
Oh my god, that's her. She looks hot in real life, but whatever.
Yeah.
But there's the thing. As hateful as I found this character. That just goes to show how good her acting was.
Exactly.
If you can hate a character, that means that they're doing a great job portraying the character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not taking anything away from any of these actors. They're great actors. It's just that some of the dialogue in the script that they are given is just, ugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Jeremy.
My brother.
35 version approved. Stop meddling in our elections. No, I'm just kidding.
So, for me, this character reminded me of. Do you guys remember the movie Rampage from 2018?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Now you had your woman character Claire Wyden.
Yep.
And to me, both these characters they kind of have a similar role. They're in the movie, and it's like these people are obviously you're meant to dislike these people.
Yes.
They're dickish, they're rude, they're snobby, they're uptight.
Exactly.
And I guess, not to jump ahead, but like when they die, it's very satisfying. And I'll say I appreciate the characters and I appreciate that they die in satisfying ways.
Actually, George versus Lizzie in that movie is like a prelude to this movie.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. It literally, I was thinking about that when I was watching this. I'm like, man, I remember Rampage George versus Lizzie, and it was kind of like this.
Yeah.
But all right, so we get after the introductions, it starts raining. Kong's not happy. He's trying to pull on the chains. It's rocking the boat. Gia goes out and calms him down. And I love the lighting in this. Like, you see that one spotlight, and it illuminates Kong very well. And, they touch fingers. And, Rebecca Hall's character, Eileen, she comes out, and she says Kong's sad. And Rebecca's trying to say, no, he doesn't understand. He goes, yes, he does.
Yeah, when he goes, or when she says that, it shoots Kong, and Kong's looking between both of them and is like,
yeah,
I know exactly what you are saying.
Exactly.
and
that's when it gets revealed that Gia has been talking to Kong through sign language the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for as much as that is kind of a cliche thing in movies with apes now, that was actually a very touching scene because he's saying home. He misses home. He doesn't want to go.
Just compare that to Rampage. Now, I'm not going to trash Rampage. I love the movie.
No.
You compare Kong finding home to George flipping off the rock and then doing the finger and, mimicking coitus with his hand.
Yeah. And I see what you're saying, Mongo. Like, this actually had like some emotional bearing to it. You really felt. I actually felt bad for him because the way with his look, he was miserable.
Yeah. He was away from his home. He was away from protecting the other animals. He was away from everything he knew. He was homesick.
Yeah.
And to speak for a second about primates and sign language, for me, I have seen the Planet of the Apes movies to death. I've seen Rampage. I like Rampage.
Yeah.
And this movie is no different with Kong signing home. That's the only word he signs in this movie.
Right.
But he understands everything else. But people have to realize this is the best way that humans can actually speak with primates. If you teach them how to communicate with us or with us in ways we can understand, because we can't understand the grunts. We can't understand the nuanced roars and screeches. We have to understand them in a way we have to teach them how to communicate with us. So to me, because I've actually seen a couple primates who have learned sign, And I've actually had one of them call me weird. It was, well, weird. But let's just say that it's interesting if you actually are around one in real life. Right. You understand that this is the best way that we can actually learn from them. And they can learn from us. Right. So having Kong learn sign language, think about it. This is this is a super apex ape. That is not apex as in company, but apex as in the definition. Yeah. His intelligence surpasses anything an ape or a normal ape would. His intelligence is beyond even human intelligence. Right. But he cannot talk, so he has to sign. And him saying home, he's basically saying, I don't like it here. I want to go home. Exactly. And I absolutely love that scene with Gia and him because when Rebecca Hall tries to pull Gia away, she fights him completely. Yeah. And I was waiting for Kong to be like, hey, knock that off. But he didn't. Not yet, because he understands that he knows her as well. Yes. He's basically the dad of Gia, and she's basically the mom of Gia. Yeah, exactly. In a quasi-pseudo weird way. Yes. And you know, like I said, like that it was a great scene, and it was one of the scenes that really started to make me feel bad for Kong and knowing what's going to happen, because he's going to have to go up against the literal legend of the Titan universe, like the one that killed Ghidorah, the one that pretty much, had made himself king of all the Titans. So the leader of the world, basically. Yeah, exactly. And it had a lot of emotional draw, and I did like that. So now after that, we go back to Millie Bobby Brown's character. I know. This is where the movie drags. This is really where I really think the movie drags. So we get introduced to Josh Valentine, played by Julian Dennison. He's the kid from Deadpool 2. Yeah, who stayed there. Yeah. No offense to the kid. He's a good actor, but dude, he was only put in here to be made fun of. Yes, quite literally. And so, Millie Bobby Brown ends up driving, trying to find out who the podcaster is so she can talk to him. She knows that he buys a lot of bleach in bulk. So let me say here, the first line she says is, "He consumes bleach." Yeah. Now, anybody take that? Yeah. How exactly? How would drinking bleach? Oh, like, you mean he drinks it? And she's like, no, he bathes in it. I'm like, like I said, he bathes in it. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I kind of feel bad for all the actors who are given these scripts in this movie. I truly do, because they did the best. Some of them do the best what they can with it, because it's probably just so outwardly awkward. Anyway, they go to Chinatown, and they pretty much bribe the clerk who after a little Tide Pod joke. Tide Pod. Geez. Tide Pods. I love that. It's like, we're still dealing with lawsuits. It's like this is how you can see how bad she is. And I have to give this critique. Look at what I was. It's like, seriously, you're telling him to look, and you're doing the whole handset. It's like, oh my god. And Julian, this is one of the better parts of his acting. Yeah, he just slaps $100 bill down and can we talk to him, please? Oh, you mean Bernie? Yeah, that dude buys a shit ton of bleach. Yeah. Like, oh my god. Because I'll tell you where he lives if you buy a fish. Yeah, I know. I'll tell you where he lives if you buy a fish. Oh my god. Just buy him a fish, or just buy a fish. And give it to Bernie and slap him. They go to his shelter, his home. It looks like a bomb shelter. It looks like a freaking freezer for a restaurant.
Yeah.
A restaurant freezer.
And so they're trying to let her in, trying to get him to open the door. And that's when she says her name, and then he knows exactly who she is. Daughter of Emma Russell.
Yep.
And it's, from there, then they go into more conspiracy theory about fluoride in the water.
Tap or no tap?
I didn't really need that.
How about double tap?
Yeah, really.
I mean, because this whole scene was just making me want to double tap my head.
Yeah. All right, so we get through that. They decide that they're going to break into Apex, which, okay, take that with a grain of salt because that place is probably under high security at that point.
You'd think.
Yeah, you would think. And they get into there very easily. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Now, back to the main story.
Yes.
So
eating freaking fish like popcorn.
That's a lot of fish.
Yeah, and I just love his look. He's like, he just smiles, and you see all that red on his teeth. It's like, it's ugly, but I can't look away because it's so.
Yeah, exactly. It's just great. Actually, you know what? Kong loves to eat. He eats in both the movies he's in, and it's like that running trend. Like, this guy got to eat.
Meyer squid, calamari.
Yep.
I wonder if he would have eaten that tongue of the skullcrawler. Probably not.
Maybe
it's a little bit.
That's
of
probably
tangy.
a delicacy. I bet.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, really. And so we also get Eileen Andrews. She asked, how long she's been talking to Kong, and what ends up happening is, she said Kong didn't want anyone to know, but now, and then she said, well, now everybody knows, so it's kind of like one of those things where he only really was able to open up to her as far as, letting his emotions go, letting his guard down to actually communicate with just her. So that was a touching moment. And then we get some dialogue between Nathan and Eileen, and then Gia, she can feel vibrations, and she puts her hand on the wall, and you hear Godzilla's, what I call the ocean roar, that he does, and it's like run, and then like the sirens start, and she's signing, and it's like it's Godzilla. So they immediately start firing off missiles into the distance, and he just got. Yeah, exactly. And then Godzilla just dives under the missiles. It's like, screw this
game.
Yep.
Like, I know
and
this game.
Here's the difference in this movie too. In Godzilla 2014, Godzilla actually doesn't really destroy the ships around him. Well, this one, he's like, get the fuck out of my way.
Because remember, he's an avatar of balance.
Yeah.
He is the balance point of the world.
Yeah.
And, well, humans have already thrown this world out of balance.
Exactly. So many times.
With what Apex has done.
Yeah.
Apex is part of humanity. Godzilla understands this.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you stand in my way, you are dead.
Yeah.
I am not playing nice with you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I killed Ghidorah not to save you, but to save this planet.
Yeah. And now you guys are fucking up what I just did.
Yeah,
it's pretty much.
Now you have knocked the Earth out of balance, so you need to be cold.
Yeah,
a little bit.
So now, I mean, we get a great sequence, and it's very reminiscent of like classic Godzilla. He's just taking out ship by ship.
Good. And to Shin Godzilla too with the tail.
Yeah, the big tail rising out of the water. Yep. Catching the jet and then slamming his tail back onto the other ships. It was great.
He took
and one of the anchors.
He takes out 3 or 2.
One of the anchors gets caught on Godzilla's tail and it pulls part of the ship with it. That was a reminiscence of Jaws.
Yep.
Yeah, where the barrels.
Yep.
That was great. And he swims toward Kong and he dives deeper. The ship, you don't see the ship anymore.
I also like how you see the bodies underwater just coming out.
Yeah.
Like, damn. He wasn't there.
Yep. And, of course, Kong roars his challenge, and Godzilla just jumps straight up out of the water like a crocodile, trying to grab him. And immediately flips over the ship, including everyone that's in the ship. And Kong's still chained up, and he's trying to get loose, and he's underwater. Nathan decides to release him because that's the only way he can defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the good underwater fight. So Godzilla's coming up to Kong, and he's about ready to, grab him, but Kong grabs his hands to keep him from grabbing him, and Kong headbutts him, and then swims back up to the top, and then tilts the ship back right side up.
Yep.
Fun fact too, according to the actress who played Gia, there was actually they were locked in that little room there, and there was supposed to be a scene of them drowning, and it actually got cut. But she said that was one of her favorite scenes to shoot. Actually, and she was like kind of bummed that it got cut from the final film. So I guarantee you, when this DVD comes out, there's going to be a lot of deleted scenes. I would not be surprised.
I'm hoping so, because here's the thing. I understand why they would cut it, because, well, you can't really show kids in peril nowadays.
Yes, exactly.
It's a taboo. So it's like, well, here's the thing. She's not exactly abhorrent of that idea. If she wants to be shown, and if she pours her damn heart into it, which she did literally in every scene she's in, you should possibly maybe think about putting it in. I mean, Warner Brothers, you're fighting the fans too much.
Yeah.
Why don't you actually listen to them? Why don't you stop thinking we're the corporation, we need to maintain control? No, you get more with honey than with salt.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah. And Orange stepped out for a second, but so we then see the ship get turned right side up. Kong gets back on, but he kind of knows that if he stays on that ship, Gia and the rest will be in danger. So he hops onto a destroyer, then hops onto a carrier.
That was fun.
This was a great scene. That one jet just takes off as he's like rocking the boat up. Great scene. And then Godzilla's coming to him, and I love this. This is hilarious to me. He takes the one jet that has a person in it and throws it like a kid throwing a toy at him. I had to laugh. I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious, because he's like, hey, take this. And it just, guy ejects out, and it just poof. And it's like,
one of the toys for this line, the Playmates line, was obviously you had Kong with Battle Axe, but then you had Kong with Fighter Jet. And I fought that one, and I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then I saw the movie. I'm like, oh, I see.
No, it makes total sense.
It's like, okay.
It's literally the equivalent of you throwing a soft toy at an older brother or something. It's like, dude. And then we get the big Godzilla jumping out of the water onto the carrier. That must be a very strong carrier, by the way.
That's actually modeled after our biggest carrier.
Those super carriers.
The Grant.
And
I believe it's called.
And then Godzilla rises up, Kong punches him, and then Godzilla just slaps him and actually knocks him down. It's like, it shows the power difference between the two right there. Kong uses his whole fist and his whole body weight to hit Godzilla. It staggers Godzilla, and Godzilla just slaps him, and he goes falling down. It's like
he uses the reverse momentum to actually give the slap in, because his bulk is what kept him upright.
Oh yeah,
he's just kind of sliding, or he's just kind of reacting right back, and he's like, take this instead. I never rated that. When I saw that scene, but when I saw it in its entirety, it's like, oh, I can narrate it further. Basically, Godzilla gets up on the ship. The shut your lizard mouth. No, you shut your mouth.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's about to stomp on Kong. Jets come in.
He was about to use his breath.
Yeah, jets come in, which distracts him. Then Kong, pushes him back into the water.
Yep.
And then he's like, okay, well, I'll just shoot it from here.
Yep.
And Kong looks down and he knows what's coming. He's like, oh, crap. And he jumps.
Shit.
Yeah.
Got to get in the water. Damn it.
Yep. Yeah, get in the water. And then, now you're facing him in his natural territory. And we get, a struggle in there. And then Godzilla wraps his tail around Kong. And he's dragging him down to the depths. Like, he wants to drown him.
Yeah.
Because he knows he can drown him.
Yep.
Now, this is where they're like, we got to do something to, disorient Godzilla, so they use the depth charges. They know it can't kill him, but at least it will give him something else to think about, and so he can release Kong. And it works. Kong comes up, he coughs out the water, and then he literally gets onto the ship, and he's laying down. He's, like, exhausted. Godzilla comes back up to the surface, and he's circling around. And I love this because they actually do the same thing. A call back to King of the Monsters, where they're like, "No, shut everything down, make him think he won, that we're not a threat to him," which is exactly what they did in King of the Monsters. Godzilla's very territorial. Anything that's a threat to him, he will attack. But if you're not a threat, he will move away. He thinks he won. So they shut everything down, and I love the scene when he rises up out of the water. His he has red eyes in this movie, and he just stares at Kong, like, I'll get you next time, or pretty much like this one is like him saying, "Don't come back, get out of my way," kind of thing. To me, that's what he's pretty much.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the way I saw it was his eyes are actually more amberish instead of red.
Yeah.
But when they're like, or if we do that, we're dead. No, we are playing dead. So when they shut it down, he's basically looking up, and I just love it how he's in the wreckage and the fire and all that.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, so you're all either, or he's not stupid. He knows that he knows that they're playing dead. And he's looking he's not focused on the humans. He's like, well, okay, you all know your place. That's good. Are you going to be a problem? And he's just noticing that Kong's just looking at him. He's like, I fucking hate you. He's like, yeah, well, too bad. I'm going to leave you here to die.
Yeah. So that ends that sequence. And so they're like, if we move again, Godzilla will attack. And it's like, how's Kong with heights? And so they use helicopters to transport him the rest of the way. This is a good throwback to the original King Kong versus Godzilla, where they use balloons and helicopters to transport him. I love that little reference. And they place him in Antarctica, and they detach the cables, and the helicopters fly off real quick. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if he sees those helicopters, he might get flashbacks from Vietnam. It's like, hey, those things again. And he wakes up, and he's in the snow, and he's like, what the hell's this? And they're like, then they try to tell Gia to tell him to go into the Hollow Earth, but he doesn't want to. And they're saying he can't survive here. And you actually see him look out into the distance there. He shudders. He's like, oh, God, it's cold here. This goes on forever. Now, my question is this the same area in Antarctica where Ghidorah was?
No, this was...
Okay, this is a different area.
These are Apex creations.
Okay. Because that was my question, too, because a lot of people ask that same thing. Was this? It's like, I don't think it is, because it's a different area. But so then they have to convince Kong that there might be other species still left in the Hollow Earth, and he books it. He when she says, your family might be down there. I mean, he books it, and they're like, we gotta go. And so he's going through this tunnel area. He's like, like an ape, hanging from the raffles, and he slides down, and that's when they get to the breach area. Now, I actually was thinking about Pacific Rim, the breach.
Yeah.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
That scene where they convince him, it's really an interesting scene because you're seeing that this is the first time where he actually does not believe what Gia is saying.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like, sorry, I'm not buying that. So then, but then he tells her your family may be down there. He's like, wait, what family? I'm going. And then he just shoots off like a bullet, which is, it's like,
keep going. I'll be right back.
Yep. And it was just a beautiful moment because he looks down there and then he looks back at her the first time and it's like, no, I'm not buying into this. But then she lets him know family might be down there. Well, I've been very lonely, so I'm going to check this out now. You have my interest piqued. And I just love how he just takes off.
Yeah.
And he just snarls and just takes off. And it really was a beautiful freaking thing. And they all get into their heaves and whatnot, and they're following him. That whole psychedelic thing. What'd you think of it, Margo? Because I swear to God, it's like, dude, if I knew I wasn't sober right now, I'd think I was in an acid trip.
I mean, me personally, I don't think you really needed it to be a whole wormhole type thing.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't necessary, especially later in the film. You know, when we get to that, I think really all you needed was just like, oh yeah, my brother tried to get to the Hollow Earth, but turns out he didn't have a flying machine, so he just died or something.
Yeah.
Some shit like that.
You got crushed in a second.
Oh, a collapse or whatever, cave in. I don't know. I don't think you specifically needed. I mean, the heaves themselves, they look kind of cool, but I don't think you needed the whole wormhole thing. But imagine, because, something that I always think about is the eyes of these monsters. What if Kong went through the wormhole, but what if his eyes were not strong enough? So he gets through the wormhole and then he just burst and he's just blind.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
Sad and terrible, but
So what's interesting about the whole Earth here is the gravity is different in different areas. They're falling down, and all of a sudden they see Kong falling up.
Yeah, I love that. Where are you going?
And it's like, oh crap!
I just love.
All right, so they're
roaring at him. He's like, "What did you get me into? Come back!"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so the whole Earth is literally this almost tropical paradise. It's it's its own ecosystem with its own type of sun. You think that's like a radioactive core?
No.
What do you think of that is?
I think that it is, or the sun is actually it is a constant storm. It is a perpetual, because it's kind of at the convergence points.
Right.
If you really if you notice it, they're really close to the convergence points, and there's that storm system above the Kong Temple.
Right.
And I'm just guessing. My guess is it's not really a sun, or it's possibly a vent of the Earth's core. Who knows? It could be.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was part of the Earth's core, nobody would be able to get into those anti-gravity vehicles. Everything in the hollow Earth area would be incinerated.
Right.
The Earth's core is the temperature of the sun, I believe, even a little hotter.
Right.
So it's like, no. That is why this didn't make sense. As much as I like this movie, as much as I enjoyed the Hollow Earth sequences, I still can objectively say that this is an inconsistency that has created a problem.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because we saw in King of Monsters Godzilla's area.
Yeah.
which wormholed them in the water.
Yeah.
Into a subterranean, water vent, pretty much. So, okay. So my question is, before we go on here, my question is: clearly when you see Kong's home, Kong's temple there, clearly that is not natural. That has been built.
Yeah.
So, do you believe that different civilizations had different avatars for their different titans that they worship? Like, pretty much, you have Kong's clan, you have Godzilla's clan. That being said, Godzilla's area looked huge. Like, that city was huge that was dedicated to him.
That Godzilla skull that the axe was in, that was like 5 times or 6 times bigger than Godzilla's skull.
Yeah. That's another thing I had a question about. Like, wait, how big does Godzilla get? Because that skull
that's Godzilla Earth size.
Yeah, because that skull was almost as big as Kong was.
Yeah.
And to me, if that's a true Godzilla skull, it would have taken how many Kongs to try to take that thing down?
Well, just one with a lucky X-wing.
I guess, but still, I mean, just size-wise, I mean, that creature's atomic breath would have probably been just
he was
completely devastating.
He was the alpha Godzilla.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, because it's like, holy shit, look at the size of that thing.
Okay.
I mean, I realized it from my most recent viewing. It's like, oh wait, the size of that thing is huge.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, so while they're traveling there, one of the Heaves gets destroyed by a warbat, and there's 2 warbats there. These are like flying cobras, quite literally.
Very neat.
I thought that was a throwback to the 1970s Kong, where he fights the snake.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, where he fights the snake. I think that was a throwback to that. I mean, he literally tries to suffocate him, and it takes the human's intervention to like get him to release, and then Kong just like pummels him.
Yeah,
rips off his head and drinks his blood.
I know. It's like that's
good. I'm gonna eat.
It's like, well, I am a bit dehydrated, so I'm gonna get some green goo while I'm here.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And I just loved it. Now, my take on the warbats, they kind of remind me of cobras and D-Wars from that god awful dragon movie. But
from Korea, yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually touching in a way. But anyway, they kind of do remind me of the Amugis.
Yeah.
It's like creepy, but still cool, but way cooler.
It's cool at the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, while this is going on, we go back to Madison, and they're doing the whole infiltrating the Apex facility. They get down there, they see the eye is gone, and just happens there's an elevator that still works, and they go into sub-level 33
with purple neon inside of
it. Purple neon. And they think that these pods are for like the super elite. He goes into the whole theory about the super elite. If someone presses the doomsday button, these super elites will be protected. They go into one of these and they find out, oh no, it's not one of those. They have skullcrawler eggs in them. And they use these magnetized, pretty much like a monorail magnetized
maglev.
What?
It's magnetic levitation.
Magnetic levitation.
They literally shoot you down the pipe, and they go all the way to Hong Kong from there. They can go to Hong Kong. They can go to California. They can go to all different places.
Yeah. And so, they're pretty much, getting a one-way trip to Hong Kong at that sequence. Then we get back to the Hollow Earth. Kong finds, his temple. Well, first he actually sees that gravity border is different. And he actually jumps up, and it actually turns upside down, the view of the camera, because he's technically upside down, but the gravity there keeps him there. Now, then he goes into the temple. That's where he finds the axe, which is actually made from Godzilla's dorsal fin.
Mm-hmm.
And
calcified, I'm guessing, because it's actually very hard.
Yeah, calcified, and it's wrapped around the bone. So,
yeah.
So obviously, Kong is able to make tools. That's pretty obvious.
Species was, yeah.
The species is able to make tools.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward, we get back to Madison. We see that they're at the Apex facility in Hong Kong. They're in this arena, giant metal arena, and they see body parts.
Sacrificial pit.
Yeah, sacrificial pit, and they see body parts and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And
well, and then we see them rise up Mechagodzilla. Well, they say it's a robot Godzilla, and then of course he has to throw out the line, "No, it's a Mechagodzilla."
Yeah.
And this Mechagodzilla has a pilot. It's Ren Sarazawa. He's using pretty much psionic interface to do its bidding. Then they release a Skullcrawler. Now this Skullcrawler is pretty big. I think this is bigger than the big one.
Yes, this is. That's basically what I was going to point out earlier when we get to the segment. It's this is the mother of all Skullcrawlers, because this thing is friggin' huge. But here's the thing. We see in Godzilla or Kong Skull Island, these things bleed red, not green.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing this thing had a lot of GMOs or whatever, growth hormones, and it altered its DNA a little too much.
Well, do you know the real reason why his blood's green?
Yeah, because they wouldn't have gotten a PG-13.
Yeah, the censors pretty much told them, no, you cannot have all that red blood. They told him no, absolutely not.
It's a freaking monster blood.
I know, but
it's
they're
basically saying we don't care. Turn it green.
Yeah,
it's but it's a red
Make
blood.
It green.
I mean, screw you, Warner Brothers. Screw you. No, Warner Brothers is not wrong or not at fault here. The MPAA. Is wrong.
They pretty much said, you can't have that much blood.
Yeah.
So we then see Mechagodzilla activated. The Skullcrawler goes for Madison. Mechagodzilla grabs it by both its arms, and it's just pretty much helpless at this point.
Yeah.
And then we see Mechagodzilla's death beam go right through its mouth and carve it in half. But unfortunately, the power source can only last for so long, and then it shuts down.
Yeah.
That's why they need that power source from the Hollow Earth to power him completely. While that's happening, then Godzilla rises in Hong Kong, and he wants to destroy that Apex facility. But what happens is, down in the Hollow Earth, Kong's axe lights up, and he places it right into this
recess
area that it fits, and it activates pretty much the entire area, and it looks like Godzilla's shape. You notice that?
Yeah.
So
kind of like a small little alien, kind of like a shout out to Alien, because it's not really Godzilla's shape. It's kind of like armless, just and long Godzilla.
Armless and legless Godzilla.
Smaller axes there too.
Yes, exactly. But that's the only one that he can use the activated. All the rest then get destroyed. That's when they grab, and so Godzilla senses that, and he's just not having it. And he literally breathes his fire into the ground, and it is literally burrowing down into the whole earth.
Yeah.
Into the earth. That was wow.
That's
you
going
tell
on
how
a
pissed he is.
thread on versus Reddit. That's going to go on a thread Godzilla respect thread. Burrows hundreds of miles through the Earth's crust to Hollow Earth or something like that.
And then we get Maya Simmons' true intentions. She's there to pretty much get a sample of that energy source, and that sample gets uploaded to the computers there. Now, how do they mimic that power source with just the upload? I'm trying to figure that one out.
Apex, they can do anything.
In Iron Man 2, they made like a new element from like some instance. I guess something like that. Although it was a little more believable in Iron Man 2 to a degree because hey, it's Tony freaking Stark.
Exactly.
Like all stuff. What do we know about these guys? Okay, Ren Sarazawa, he's a dude who can pilot Mechagodzilla, and this other guy, he's a guy.
Right.
And he says we should be able to recreate it. So I'm guessing that there are computer algorithms, to answer your question, can reverse engineer whatever data they receive.
I gotcha. You also see them point guns at Gia and Nathan and Irene, and Kong right away is like pissed.
It's like it's like the second they put the guns on Gia, it's like, you guys just killed yourselves. The rest is just detail.
Yeah, really. And then what we find out from Madison's point of view, they're in the Apex facility. She goes and looks into this area, and here it's Ghidorah's skull. And they had literally hooked it up as a thinking supercomputer. That's literally what they did. And right there, I'm like thinking to myself, okay, you took a world destroyer and plugged it into the computer to make it think better. It's like, you realize how terrible of an idea that is. Yep. And
I couldn't help but think of Pacific Rim 2, where you have Charlie Day's character hooking up with the kaiju brain.
Well, here's something interesting. The manga for Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the Heisei one, the manga actually states that Mecha King Ghidorah takes over control of Mechagodzilla in that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So if they read that or knew about that, that might be a reference to that. Yep. So, yeah, in the manga goes all out in that one. I mean, Godzilla gets like literally almost torn in half in that movie, in that manga. But essentially, they realize, it's using psionic interfaces because they feel that the heads communicated through like telepathy kind of thing, which my argument to that though is that's Kevin, and the way they communicated was to literally headbutt him into like figure it out what to do. And also, grab his horn.
Also, and yell at him. They're saying that there was 2 skulls. I'm like, where was the second one?
Yeah, he obliterated.
Yeah, because here's the thing. They also point out a second skull in the novel. And I'm like, but where's the second skull coming from?
Right. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so, you have Kevin there as a skull. As far as what we know from the movie part, that's the skull that Jonah purchased and then sold to Simmons. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so they get captured, and then they're pretty much saying Simmons doesn't have evil intentions. It's just they make him seem like that. He pretty much says humans need to be the apex again, and he starts to go into the pretty much villain monologue there, and once they activate, Mechagodzilla starts to activate again. The eyes start to flash blue, then red, blue, and red. And as you see that scene, you could hear Ghidorah's roars very slightly.
Yep.
So he was taking over at that point. But before that actually happens, Godzilla now has literally burrowed into the whole Earth, but because the gravity is different, it actually shoots up.
Yeah, because remember that
it inverted. Gravity inverted.
Kong inverted to the face up that goes up back to the world.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes all those, what are those things? The hawk-looking flight with feathers birds or whatever they are.
Psycho vultures or something like that.
Yeah, like they're featherless birds, pretty much.
The CGI for those things were top notch because I honestly thought those were puppets.
Yeah, they were very good. And so they start picking off the crew left, right, and center. Maya Simmons gets into the heave in there, and then they decide to have the crazy idea to shoot at Kong.
Yeah,
and it's like, what?
With their bullets, I'm like,
the bullets,
freaking missiles.
Shoot him! It's like, did you just seriously say shoot him?
Yeah, and then he grabs the heave, looks in, and it's almost like he was looking to see, make sure Gia wasn't in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
It's like, are you in there? Oh, no, you're not in there. Oh, it's the crazy psycho bitch lady. Okay, bye.
It's the one that put guns on her.
No.
Yeah. I was, you know what? When that scene happened, I was like, I wanted to shout out and say, "Be gone, thought."
Exactly, right?
Be gone, thought. And it's like, and he just like wipes it away, like with his hand. If you know this, it's like, poof. It's like, not a big deal. And so then, Nathan, they have to get into their heave, and then this is where the atomic breath like just blast out of there, and you see Godzilla roaring down. Kong looks down. It's like
roar.
It's like, wait, who's that? It's like, oh, it's him. And so now Kong literally jumps down into the burrowed hole with the axe, and then they're not far behind. Kong comes up with the axe, places it down. Godzilla literally turns around like, oh, you again. Pretty much. And then we get the big battle between these two. And it's just, wow. This is what the movie was made for, this battle coming up. And this is where I said Godzilla is extremely fast and agile for as big as he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually ducks out of the way from the axe to begin with, grabs Kong by the neck and just starts throwing him building to building. And it's like, wow. And then he's like literally galloping into him. Like, it's like full force. That's actually almost scary because it's like you have like hundreds of thousands of tons of pure bone and muscle just running full speed right into you.
Yeah, Godzilla's not soft either. He is not a big pillow.
Yeah, no. And actually, too, another thing I noticed, so they go back and forth. The heave comes out. Kong's trying to climb a building, get away. It falls, kind of like reminiscent of like the classic Kong falling off a building. And as that's happening, like the heave that Gia and the heroes are in comes out, and they're like screaming because they're like right in Kong's face. That reminds me of the Universal ride kind of thing.
Yes.
I think that was a throwback to the Universal ride. It's like, oh crap, he's right there. And
UVK ride, please. Universal.
And
Studio,
if you guys noticed, Godzilla's trying to charge up his atomic breath, and before he can do that, Kong takes the axe and sticks it down his throat.
Yep.
Very reminiscent of the original tree scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I love that they added there. I think like a lot of Godzilla fans were like, they did it. They did the whole thing, and then like
this fight because this fight is actually smart. You see Kong's intelligence. He's going at Godzilla. He's going toe to toe, which is first that is a mistake because Godzilla does get the upper hand, but he's doing it in a smart way. He's going after his gills. He's just pounding away, and he's making sure he gets close in so Godzilla can't use the atomic breath. But only when Godzilla finally got a little distance,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, time to fry.
Yeah. You notice that when he finally gets that hit on Kong with the atomic breath, he smiles and laughs.
I think that was a little much for me.
Yeah.
A little much.
Oh, well, here's the funny thing. Toho requested that.
Wow. That's
Toho requested that. They said, if you're going to emote Kong with emotion, give Godzilla some emotion. And so the director's like, okay.
We'll give him an evil little cackle.
Yeah, a little evil laugh, kind of like, ha, I got you finally, kind of thing. And then, one of the things that was kind of interesting too was Kong is very smart. Godzilla's, after he, hits him with the axe, with the charged up axe, Godzilla's trying to look for him. Kong throws the crane at the building. Godzilla looks to see where that came from, and Kong just, literally jumps on top of him and pushes his head into the building. I mean, that was a great scene. Yeah. And again, Kong's uses his intelligence. But the thing is that Godzilla is so powerful in this movie. He grabs Kong by the arm and actually dislocates his arm by throwing him. He then charges at Kong. Kong's trying to get away, literally crawling away. Godzilla's on all fours at this point, trying to grab at his legs.
Yep,
like a crocodile does.
Then actually starts tearing into him.
Well, he actually jumps on top of Kong and then literally starts carving through his flesh on his chest with his claws. Thought that was a great moment. I'm like, holy crap! He like Godzilla's complete beast mode in this. He is completely done with Kong. He's like this. This
when he charges and goes head into that building and just slams his head sideways to get out of it. It's like you could tell he's like, I've had enough of you.
Yes. Yeah. And that's when he steps on Kong's chest the first time. Kong punches him in the side. Godzilla roars up and then brings his foot back down and actually crunches his chest. And he stares at him and then he roars at him. And Kong, well, at first is like, you can tell he's like almost scared, but then he roars back in defiance. Mm-hmm. And then Godzilla kind of stands up and nods like, hey, there, I beat you. And he pretty much just leaves him to his fate.
Yep.
Kong tries to get up and he just collapses. Godzilla won the fight that point.
The reason why Godzilla roared when he got hit in the leg was also because Kong got hit him in the leg with the axe.
The axe, yeah, so it hurt him. It's like, oh,
it's like,
ouch.
Fucking get off me. And he's like, shit.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Unfortunately,
I've been hit in an open wound before.
Oh, yeah.
It does not ever feel good.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a Charlie horse equivalent.
Yes. Yeah, so at that point, Godzilla was just even more done. But literally what this shows is then Kong collapses. Godzilla pretty much knows he crushed his chest.
Yeah.
And he just leaves him to his fate. At that point, Godzilla's mind is more on Apex. He's like, you're in my way. Get out of my way. I have bigger fish to fry, kind of thing.
Yep.
That's how he sees it. It's like, I have bigger fish to fry. I don't need your shit. That's literally how he feels about Kong. And so he leaves him to his fate. Now, here's where there's a big time jump, because then we get to where Mechagodzilla activates and gets essentially possessed by Ghidorah.
Yes.
Simmons goes through his villain monologue, and all of a sudden they're looking and they're like all backing up, and he's like, huh? And he looks around and he's like, oh shit. And he like crushes them, and then the electricity fries, Ren Sarazawa. Yeah.
Now here's where it would have been a great touch. When he's getting fried by the electricity, they should have made it. They should have made it gold.
Yes. Yeah. Made it Ghidorah's
perfect gold confirmation that it was Ghidorah.
Yeah, he is. He is now possessing Mechagodzilla.
Also, make the eyes gold, like his eyes were in the movie.
Exactly. That's what I was waiting for. I thought the electricity was going to come out gold, and it's like that would confirm, oh, Ghidorah is still kicking, brain wise. And then Mechagodzilla breaks free of underneath the compound. Now this is where there's a big time jump because now it's morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was dead of night earlier.
Well, it was twilight of nighttime, basically.
I guess
3 a.m. sort of, or getting into 4 a.m. and whatnot.
Because now the sun's pretty much up.
Yeah.
And Mechagodzilla comes out. He burns, the people there, and that beam of his is very reminiscent of Shin Godzilla, where it just obliterates these buildings in one swoop.
Can I say
and
real
go ahead?
I said this before the show started, where China basically made the request that WB says out loud that nobody in Hong Kong died as a result of the monsters fighting. And I'm like, cool story, bro, because once Mechagodzilla gets out there, he literally just lays waste to people indiscriminately and steps on a few hundred people in one scene. So cool story, bro. We're not buying that.
Yeah, not buying it. And then Godzilla sees him, and Mechagodzilla immediately goes to Godzilla. This is a possessed Mechagodzilla.
This is Kevin seeing the person that just ripped off his head, like.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a revenge. Yeah. This is a revenge. He wants Godzilla dead right then and there.
Also, Mechagodzilla laughed when he got out there when he.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
I recognize you, and I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah, because I have arms now.
Yeah, and it's
like I have arms now.
Here's the thing, though. Here's a theory of mine that I want to run in here, and I know we're coming up on 2 hours, but you know how specific and very skillful Kevin ran that body, activating all of the different things and whatnot, even the boosters. They had to have done at least like 7 to 10 different tests.
Yeah,
where the door was slowly waking up each time.
Yes,
and getting the lay of the land basically in that creature's body.
Yes,
because he really used it to perfection.
Oh yeah, I mean he pummeled Godzilla in this.
This was on par with this was on par with Broly versus Goku in the original movie, where he was putting people through buildings face first.
Yeah, that's literally what he was doing.
This was a Japanese anime fight in monster terms.
Oh yeah,
just grabs his face. 1 building, 2 building. The camera building. Bam. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, the brutality.
Oh yeah,
throws him face first and then kicks him in the back. Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
And don't forget, this is the derpy head.
Yeah. This is Kevin, the insane one.
Yeah. Imagine if it was the middle head.
If it was what he would do, he would have been going full energy attacks.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was the right head.
Oh, geez.
The more aggressive one. It's like, holy shit.
And I love the beam lock they have. That's reminiscent of the Heisei era Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And he just, unloads on him. And it's like...
Somebody did a screen comparison of Batman v Superman with Superman versus Doomsday. With scene, because basically it was the same scene.
Yep. Yeah, well, when Godzilla had Kong on the ground there, I was about ready for Kong to be like, translation, save Mothra. It's like,
Why did you say that? I know, right?
It's like, okay, we're friends now. Save Mothra. All right, I see you. But so while Godzilla's getting pummeled, Gia feels the vibrations of Kong's heart, and she says it's slowing down. These heaves have a massive electrical charge to them. So literally, they had to jumpstart his heart, like But this is also reminiscent of King Kong versus Godzilla, where electricity is what brings him back to life when Godzilla is about pretty much roasting him. So a good little nod there. Kong wakes up, and while this is happening, they're trying to find a way to cut the satellite link to Mechagodzilla to try to disorient him.
Here's another problem.
It's
thinking for itself now. We need to warn Monarch or try to stop it ourselves. It's like, you are a high schooler.
Yeah, really.
Warn Monarch.
Yeah.
Don't try to stop it yourself, you idiot.
Yeah, well, again, plot. Again, script.
Yeah. It's like,
anyway, so Kong wakes up. Gia tells Kong, Fade's here.
Hey, Fade.
Hello.
Hey, Fade. Hey, is everything going all right there?
Yeah, everything's going well.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, we're into the battle with Mechagodzilla here coming up.
Oh, okay.
Get you up to speed. But so Gia's telling Kong Godzilla's not the enemy. And Kong just roars. He's like, this guy, it's always like him saying, you're telling me now he's not the enemy. He dislocated my arm, tried to kill me, and now you're saying he's not the enemy? It's almost like he's not agreeing with this.
Yeah,
it's like, bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is basically what he's like, fuck you. Or
yeah. And then she points, and it's like, no, that's enemy. And then he sees the mechanical Mechagodzilla like pummeling him. He goes, oh, yeah, that's a problem.
It's like,
that's a problem.
That thing's beating up on the thing that I want to beat up.
Yeah. It's like the Vegeta moment. It's like no one can kill Kakarot except me. So,
exactly.
That's pretty much how he thinks. It's like, okay, if anybody's going to take Godzilla down, it's going to be me. So let's get rid of this thing. And so, they convince Kong to help. Now, as this is happening, though, what happens is there's a throwback to 2014. Mechagodzilla literally grabs onto Godzilla's mouth, forces it open, and is about ready to do the kiss of death then and there. That was like awesome. I'm like, oh, he's doing the finishing move, and then Kong interrupts it. And that's when you get the tag team match. One Kong holds one arm.
Sure it was like a tag team, though.
Yeah, pretty much. Godzilla holds one arm, Kong holds the other, and they just push him through like buildings and stuff. And then, Mechagodzilla uses weapons on Godzilla to let go. Kong gets thrown around a bit, and then he sees his axe. And so that's what he needs to get to try to even compete. So we get this great sequence, and then Mechagodzilla has a drill tail that spins around.
Yep. Yeah, some other crazy thing there.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Reminds me of the Dragon Zord from Power Rangers.
Exactly.
And so Kong has the axe in one hand. He's holding the drill tail from trying to kill him. And Godzilla looks up, and he actually breathes the fire onto the axe because he knows the axe can charge up. And I thought that was a great scene. It showed that he was still intelligent, too. He's like, okay, this is the only way we can get this thing. He charges up the axe. Kong just starts dismantling Mechagodzilla with the axe. Jumps down on top of him. While this is happening, though, they are able to sever the satellite connection by using the alcohol and
multi-liquor.
Yeah, from that to disable the computers out of all things to use.
I still think that was the greatest line. I have to die with you and sober.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So, Kong then just literally rips off Mechagodzilla's head, kind of like what happens to Mechagodzilla in the Showa era. And he holds the head up, and he's pounding his chest with the other hand.
All I could think of on that moment was fatality.
yeah, pretty much. And
Kong wins. Flawless victory.
Yeah, and then we get back to human characters. They're all connecting.
Useless crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
connecting useless crap, and then you hear Godzilla's roar,
And
and
everybody
he's
just
still
granted attention.
and he still
Mm.
wants to prove that he is the strongest. Kong is literally like out of breath. He's got oil all over him from Mechagodzilla, and he like picks up the axe reluctantly, and then it's like he's like, you know what, I'm done. So he throws the axe down. Godzilla roars at the axe, roars at him. I was to say, it's like, good, you're gonna submit, and that's where I think there's a truce.
Yeah.
Kong can roll the whole
Yeah.
Earth. Godzilla will roll the surface. It's like,
Well,
fine.
personally, I think Kong was actually smarter on that. I mean, considering, like you said, he was covered up in oil, so if he got hit with that atomic threat,
Screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, you could tell how tired he was. He was like, "Oh, I can't keep." Godzilla is literally just infinite energy. There's no like
Kong
he got beaten and pummeled, and he's still ready to fight again.
Yeah, Kong is like sitting right next to a building. Then he hears Godzilla's roar. He's like, "What? No! I'll kill you. I have to." But God damn it! I'm so tired.
Yeah. Yep. You can see it in his face.
Yeah.
And and then we get a shot. Godzilla's just going back into the ocean. We then get another shot. Pretty much Gia and everyone else in the Hollow Earth, and Kong is now the roar of Hollow Earth while Godzilla rolls the surface. It's like a truce. And then the movie ends. Now, Avant-Garde did say that they did shoot a post-credit scene, but didn't include it in the movie. But he didn't say what it was.
Yeah, there was.
You think he could release it on the Blu-ray DVD release, maybe?
We're hoping that they have a lot of the deleted scenes because there's so much that they deleted.
Release the cut.
Yeah, Wingard.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, release the Wingard cut.
Oh yeah, let's get that trending. But like for instance, Eileen Chen was supposed to be in it. She's even in the credits. She didn't appear at all. There was about Ren Serizawa. There's supposed to be a backstory with him. That wasn't said at all. Again, there's a lot of things that aren't in there.
Yeah.
So they really chopped this down to be under 2 hours. Like I said, now as far as rating goes, if it was a general if I did a general non-Godzilla fan rating of this, I would probably give this about a 7 out of 10. It passes, but only for the action sequences. The script is just terrible. Like I said, the actors are very good, but they're just given just a terrible script. As a Godzilla fan, I give this pretty much a 9 out of 10. My wife and I both said that we actually enjoyed King of the Monsters slightly better because there was something grand scale about King of the Monsters. Not necessarily because of the fights or anything like that, but it was more because it was a big grand scale, and it's the first time you got to see Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra also in an American movie.
Yep.
But this movie really, I really did enjoy it as far as fun factor, as far as entertainment factor. Orange, what did you think? What's your ratings?
Objectively, I put it at a 7 to 6.5 to 7 because there are problems. The choice of music that they used was where it's songs and not score. That was a huge bog down. It's like
it was
a score. You did it with the previous 3 movies. Stick to score. Yes, in Kong Skull Island, you did use 70s music, but
that was appropriate.
It was appropriate. It was Vietnam or the end of Vietnam. It's like
I can't help but feel on it. Oh, go on, Orange.
But then, as a Godzilla and Kong lover, I do put it at around a 9. Yes, there are still problems with this movie.
Right.
They could have deleted a lot of stuff, added a little bit more backstory to Serizawa. I wanted to know his motivations.
Yeah.
Same.
And as a moviegoer, I would put it at a 9 out of 10. Because the movies or the human stuff does bog it down and make me uninterested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mongo, what do you think overall?
Personally, this is my favorite movie of the MonsterVerse now. I think I really appreciate it. I think it's a bit of a circumstantial thing here because the last movie that I watched before this was the Snyder Cut, which was a 4-hour movie. I watched this movie and it's like a breath of fresh air where I'm like, oh, okay. I like that it's quick. Basically, I mentioned it earlier, but Kong, the animated series, for me, this movie is it's like Saturday morning cartoons. I loved watching it. I like that it wasn't bloated. I think the characters fulfilled their roles. I appreciate a lot of the actors in this. And I'd say objectively, I can completely understand the criticisms. And I have no problem giving this a 5 out of 10 objectively. But subjectively, it's like a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fade, what do you think?
To me, this felt more, instead of a Godzilla sequel, it was more of a Kong sequel, if anything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like Orange said, there was a lot of, references of Kong's movie and everything. And, I don't know, objectively, I would give this probably a 6 or a 7, but as a Godzilla fan and Kong, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10 like you guys, so.
Right. One of the things that has been told, Adam Wingard even said that this movie was more made to, as a fun movie to turn off your brain.
Right.
Don't overthink it, because it really did feel cartoony.
It did.
Yeah.
And it was more a throwback to the Showa era where Godzilla started to have more personality, started to do funny things and stuff like that. One of the things that also too is he did have in mind to target a younger audience for this movie. And honestly, I was kind of worried when they said Adam Wingard was the director. If you guys don't know, during he made the Netflix series of Death Note.
Yeah,
which
know about
was not a very good interpretation. But he also, what happened was, he went on a huge rant on social media, and then he deleted all his social media right after it. And he really never resurfaced until this movie came out. So a lot of people were kind of worried because he was known for those crazy rants and stuff like that. But I thought he did actually a decent job with this movie, especially the action scenes is where it shined. Like we were saying, the script really should have been polished a bit more. I really only cared about Gia and Rebecca Hall's character. That's it. I mean, the other characters were not interesting at all, and it was kind of a bummer in some way, shape, or form. Because you did have returning actors. You said had Millie Bobby Brown, you had Tyler Chandler, but they weren't really in it very well. And Tyler Chandler was more of a cameo role. He was it also too. He in this movie he's the director of Monarch, but they don't really mention that. So it's there's a lot of things from a moviegoer standpoint that I had issues with. But if you're going in this to watch the monsters fight, you're going to be satisfied. That's this movie is titled Godzilla versus Kong. You're going to be satisfied if that's what you're going for. If you think this is supposed to be like Citizen Kane or something, you're not going to get that.
No.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of, and Yellow Flash was talking about this too. In his channel, he was saying when critics review some of these movies, sometimes they expect like the stellar script and a whole lot of stuff, and it's like, dude, this is not that movie. This is not meant for that purpose. And what I did like about this is this movie does not pander to like politics or virtue signaling. It literally is a movie about a giant ape and a giant atomic fire breathing dinosaur
lizard
going at it. And that's the whole premise of this movie. And then add Mechagodzilla.
Which is funny because the Babylon Bee actually did a thing. It's like, writer admits he cannot make Godzilla versus Kong woke.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was great.
That was funny.
I was like, oh my gosh, that was just awesome.
That was great. It's like, yeah, it doesn't need to be. I mean
it's pretty much, a franchise that did kind of have wokeness in it too, if you think about it.
In what way?
Like the Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. Like,
movies are always, or the original Godzilla movies, or the Japanese ones, are always eco-aware.
Yeah, eco-friendly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, they're eco-aware.
Yeah. Yeah, awareness driven. They're awareness driven more than they are pandering driven.
Yeah.
Now, another thing too, and another thing that what has been mentioned, one of the reasons why the Godzilla movies too aren't really doing the virtue signaling is Toho seems to have a policy against that. They're more interested in the the IPs of Godzilla and the other monsters than they are about making crazy statements and stuff like that. Also, that kind of stuff doesn't even exist in Japan.
No, it doesn't. They frown upon it.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it's frowned upon. Well, actually, you know what's kind of funny? They literally just not that long ago, they literally just had a thing where women no longer have to wear high heels at work. It's like, wait, that was a requirement? It's like, yeah, that was a requirement. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, yeah, stuff like that. It's like, again, there's no such thing as like the this virtual signaling and stuff like that. Like it's a very different idea of stuff too.
Yeah.
And so like I would not be surprised if Toho has like contracts in place saying, look, if you're going to have these IPs, you just stick with the monsters, fighting. Don't worry about the other stuff.
Considering, the whole 1998 fiasco, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
if you want to woke Godzilla, that would be it. He's not even the male in that. So,
hell, they even bought the rights to hit the 1998 version just for spite, too.
Yeah. I mean,
they plan just to murder him.
Yeah. That's the one thing I, as a Godzilla fan, I am grateful for, that Toho still has control over the trademark of Godzilla and the rest of the monsters. This is not a situation where with Star Wars where Disney or some other company buys the complete rights to it. Toho will never let that right go. They will never do it, no matter how much money they're offered. They even said they wouldn't, because it's like, that's theirs. They make too much money off of that franchise through merchandise and stuff like that. They're not going to get rid of it. No matter what. So I mean, I always count myself lucky as a Godzilla fan. That being said, like, I do feel bad for fans of other franchises that really have been wrecked and completely wrecked over this stupid stuff. Now, sorry that you came kind of late, because we were pretty much finishing up.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I understand the reasoning for it. So, but we're pretty much about done. We're past the 2 hour mark here.
Okay.
We'll do a little after talk. Once the stream's done. But do you guys have any plugins you want to do before we end this? Orange.
Well, I got my versus stream, which is Alucard versus Alucard, coming up on Friday. Riot
nice.
Kitty will be joining us, or will be joining me and a couple others. And then the next Friday we'll be closing out the War for the Planet of the Apes of the Caesar trilogy.
Right.
And a special, or what comes after, will be reported on that Friday. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Mongo, what do you got?
Oh, nothing much, but I gotta say, I've been busy. I mean, not only with work, work's been great. Let me get that out.
Right, right.
Let me brag a bit here, guys. But anyhow,
look at this guy showing off.
I've been having fun just popping on to people's streams. Been having a blast. The last like not quite 2 weeks, but over the last month, had some fun on Orange Hat's channel talking about Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
Gosh, looking forward to talking about that last. What is it? Battle? No, war for the Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
Yep.
Can't wait to talk about that. Can't wait to rewatch that. That'll be fun. Basically, guys, just follow me on Twitter if I'm ever on somebody's channel, or if I ever decide like, I'm going to make this or that, I'll let you guys know. I think eventually, and I've tweeted about this, I'm going to eventually make a little video, kind of just, I won't say analyzing this movie, but, an everyman's guide to Godzilla versus Kong or something like that.
Yeah.
Some kind of down to earth.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah. Fade, you got anything going on? I saw you were on Titanfall 2 there earlier.
Yes, I'm streaming some Titanfall 2, so if you guys want to go check that out, just subscribe. Yes. And basically I'm just around on other channels too. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Fade Salvation, so.
Okay. Cool. Because I like Titanfall 2, so I'll be following you there on that one. All right. I don't really have. I have something in the works, but I'll be on Twitter and on YouTube about what that's going to be. I have something in the works now, and it's actually not Godzilla related. So stay tuned, guys, and I appreciate everybody's support. I really do, and I appreciate everybody coming on to these streams to discuss this. I really do. It's a pleasure to have you all. Orange Hat Reviews, Fade Salvation, Mongo's Big Things. You guys are all great people. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. Anyway, guys, that's it for tonight. And this and if there's ever any more Godzilla MonsterVerse movies, we'll be on top of it. But until then, I have a couple other things in the works, so we'll get to that when the time comes. But thank you guys for coming. Those who are catching the stream, not live, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys a bit later. And take care, everybody.
Take it easy.
See ya. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.